All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I am your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, what really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else, and what I would like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan today, Mike Kenney. Mike, thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you, Greg. My pleasure.
Really appreciate you taking the time. I know there's a lot of people out there that are really excited about this one, so
Thank you.
I just want to dive into the series of questions to get everybody to know Mike a little bit better, what you've done in the community and your brand. So if that's all right.
Absolutely, that's great. Well,
Okay,
thanks, Greg.
so let's go ahead and dive into the first question. So I guess tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Wow, about myself. Well, it depends on who you ask. Some people would say I'm quite simple and some quite complex.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I agree with that.
No, I'm the oldest of 9 kids. I've been blessed to be a native of Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Got away for college here out to the Midwest to play football.
Cool.
About 40 pounds of muscle ago.
Come
It's
on.
gone. That's what Carpenter's disease is. What my father-in-law calls it, where your chest falls in your drawers.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, well, it's something that only a few people are blessed to have. Anyways, having that experience to go play college football was a blast.
Awesome.
Didn't take long for me to realize I wanted to be back in God's country here,
Okay.
Midwest. I remember seeing the clouds sitting over the horizon, the fields, because you can watch your dog run away for a week out in Indiana. No offense to any of you in Indiana, but we're sitting there and I stretching, second day of practice. I was getting a little homesick, and I just remember seeing the sun setting behind the clouds and thinking, that kind of looks like Pikes Peak, and the sun setting behind it.
Kind of. Kind of.
No, so it didn't take long for me to realize this is the best place in the world after traveling all over.
Wow.
Wanting to get back here as fast as we could. So,
Okay.
anyways, background athlete. I've been born into real estate. I grew up in a real estate family, 3rd generation in real estate. My mom's dad, guilty of getting us all into this wonderful field.
Started it all.
Started it all. Started back on the East Coast in New York, and then went down and developed Cape Coral in Florida, and then came out to Colorado. Did land development here in Nevada and California. Mom met Dad, and then we were. I was conceived first of those 9 children. So
Wow.
there, I've been in real estate my whole life. Effectively, I tell people, licensed for 18, almost 19 years now.
Unreal, Mike.
Yeah,
Time
so
flies,
it
right?
does. It goes by. So
how do you like it in the progression of your career? I mean, because you've done a lot, you've seen a lot with this town. So I mean, you obviously love what you do and you care. So what does that look like for you into now, but also the growth of the company?
Yeah, well, we've seen a lot of growth here in Colorado Springs. We were last year named the #1 place in the country to retire.
Wow.
Which is wonderful.
Sure.
We've got a lot of people here, a lot of fabulous families, be it military or nonprofit community, healthcare. There's a lot of reasons people come here.
Sure.
Obviously, all the beautiful things that Colorado has to offer, the outdoors, the fun. So as far as that, my enjoyment in the career is really about those people.
Okay.
It's been able to serve people. It's about relationships. My first customer are my agents. After doing this for 18 years, and I took over the company about 6 years ago now.
Okay.
And at the time, there were 6 of us in the company, and God's blessed us, and we're pretty selective about who we've allowed to come on. We haven't
Right.
recruited anybody.
Okay.
But I've got just wonderful people in the family. We're just at about 50 right now,
Unreal.
so which is fun. Again, like I said, we haven't recruited any of them,
Mhm.
but because of that 3rd generation business, a good name has been critical
For
to
sure.
us, and those relationships are really, it's not about business, it's about family. So
Okay.
it's not just business, it's family is kind of a mantra we have here.
Wow.
And with our clients, with our agents, I've got cousins, brothers, sisters. Having 9 of them helps stack the deck a
I was
little
gonna
bit.
say,
There's a
yeah.
few of them that agree to put up with me on a regular basis. But,
Wow. And that's great, Mike. And I think that ties into, hopefully, a beautiful segue into your why. I mean, what makes you do what you do to the level you do it at, Mike? Gets you out of bed in the morning.
Absolutely. Well, I've got a couple major pieces there. The first is Whatever we do, we try to do it to honor and glorify the Lord in everything we say and do. So that's our first and foremost on the why. We got three major kind of words that we use around here, but one is grow.
Okay.
GROW is an acronym that stands for your goals, the realities, the options, and then kind of who, what, when, and where.
Wow.
And then stewardship. So we're big into stewarding those opportunities and those goals that are in front of us, the people and the relationships. And then win. So what's important now, here's what we're doing to be on top of it, to help our customers, our agents, get the best, do the best, be the best.
Wow. And that speaks volumes about your brand and what legacy you've built and will continue to build. Focusing on family, right? But family is your people.
Yeah.
And that's what's such a great thing. And the culture here is different and the structure is different. And I absolutely love that. And I think going back to what you were saying, starting with 5 and then kind of growing into that to where you're at right now, light attracts light. You not needing to recruit because people talk and they want to be around that energy. So I think that's just going to continue to grow as time goes on, and I think that's really exciting. But there's a lot of really good whys and needs for that. So hopefully everybody took those away. And not everybody's why is the same, so that's really good. So let's talk about a little bit of information for maybe some of the professionals that are watching this right now, to give them a couple pieces of advice. If you could look back on your career thus far, Mike, and pick or choose a few things that you might have added to your business that took it from one level to the next. What does that look like for you and your business?
Good question. Let's see, some of the biggest pieces. So we understood that people always do business with people they know, like, and trust. That's not new for any of the guys listening to this here. Understanding how to steward those relationships was a piece of that. So figuring out a good way to stay in constant communication with. So be it, you call a variety of different things, but your customer relationship management, emphasizing the things that we can do strategically to stay in touch and just develop good friendships, good relationships with people, to really identify those people's goals. That GROW acronym that we talked about, everybody that gets involved, we want to help them grow. And so that's really, what's your goal look like? And that looks different depending on what stage of life you're in, what stage of your career you're at. Those pieces adjust, and we're going to help you come in and speak with expertise. But going back to talk to, that being able to really slow down, make sure you remove yourself out of the equation when you're talking about serving. The more people you serve, the more you reap a harvest from that. So
I love it.
You always reap what you sow. You always reap after you sow, and you always reap more than you sow. And so whether you're sowing good things or bad things, it's going to come back differently. So
and I love that advice, and there's a lot of professionals out here that can take strong notes on that. And to me, what I take away is you're basing off fundamentals, is getting to know people and really being there for them and helping them grow. And we're talking about their families, their lives, and changes that are there, and you're guiding them through this process. So it's there's no magic pill. I mean, there's hard work, Mike. You know it.
Hard work,
I mean, and being there at the right places, the right time. Out of sight, out of mind is a thing, but strategically being there in the right mind for the right people, it matters. And again, that's a huge level of success. Piece of advice that everybody could take away from that for sure. So,
absolutely.
And that's great stuff into that. So let's go into something that's a little bit tricky. This is the difficult question.
All right.
It's about challenges, right? So we all have issues that we deal with throughout life. No one is excluded from that. But I think it's not so much what happens, but how we respond that really matters. So Mike, if you would be open to sharing some challenge that you dealt with in your life, that you overcame, that made you a stronger man because of it, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. We've again been very blessed. Having a strong foundation in the Lord and has been a key to this. But one of the biggest things that I feel like I've had the opportunity to learn and grow in has been in two different areas, and it goes back to some of those words we mentioned earlier. But to grow in were one, physically, I was an athlete, played sports, loved sports. In high school, I fractured a vertebrae in my lower back. Ended up playing 4 years of high school football and wrestled and ran track, and having that injury was very, very, very challenging. I was able to go and wrestle at the state level and do things that were exciting there. And then played college ball, as I had mentioned, and had multiple injuries. And out of those injuries, it was kind of interesting. The first time I was a freshman, blew a knee out, and we like to joke. My wife and I are getting ready to celebrate our 15th anniversary.
Wow, congrats,
Thank you.
Mike. That's
Thank you.
great.
We've got 4 beautiful kids, and one of the things I learned in that was to consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because you know the testing of your faith produces perseverance.
Wow.
And perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. I mean, the first time I read that verse was when I was laying in the recovery bed after that surgery. And I was like, well, this is terrible. This is no fun. I don't like this. And then I'm reading this verse. It says, consider it pure joy. You face trials of many kinds. Anyways, long and the short of it, one of those overcoming moments was I decided to believe that to be true. And my wife and I met because of that injury. She was a college soccer player. She blew out her knee the same year. And so we like to tell people we met in rehab. Depending on what part of the country you're from. If you're from here or you're from the Midwest, they look at you like, oh, heavens. If you're from either coast, they're kind of like, yeah, which one? Passages Malibu?
Oh, gosh,
just
right.
teasing.
Let your mind wander.
Yeah, that's it. So we have fun with that. But out of that, we got to know each other and started a lifelong journey of marriage out of that. So that was one piece. Through it, we've had to grow and challenges. We've seen the ups and downs in the market.
Sure.
So learning how do you adapt to but that same truth of considering it pure joy. So whatever situation you're faced with, recent health issues, loss in family, variety of things that we could speak to, being able to focus on the opportunities that can come out of that. So downturn in the market, I studied in 06, and in 06 we had obviously a peak of the market around here, previous peak I should say, and 8 and 9 the downturn. Rather than focusing on the sky is falling, I learned a lot about short sales and did dozens and dozens of short sales helping serve clients because that was their need and opportunity.
Sure.
We grew in our management skills to help our clients with that. I had a client that was really I was very fortunate when I first got started that was very successful in real estate. He made a lot of money in real estate.
Okay.
And I asked him, what's the secret? He said, you really want to know? And I took out my pen and paper before this tablets that I'm using now.
Yeah.
Pen and paper, and I'm taking notes on it. And he said, the secret in real estate is to never have to buy and never have to sell. As long as you never have to do either, you will always make money in real estate.
Interesting.
And I was like, huh. And it's not that you don't buy and it's not that you don't sell. It's that you never have to. And the real estate will always, in the long term, go up. They're not making more of it, although they tried it in certain parts of the world. United Emirates had a run at that for a while, but big picture wise, it's a good investment. So helping counsel and coach people through that, out of my own learning of considering it pure joy. What are the opportunities here? A lot of military guys that were getting deployed said, hey, I have to sell. I'm going to lose all this money.
Okay.
We said, well, you can look at the short sale route, or we could look at help and serve you. So we added a property management division to our company to help serve people at that level and say, you know what, hang on to it. Even if you're losing a couple bucks a month, rent-wise, the market will come back. And some of the most rewarding moments I've had are clients coming back and saying, hey, thanks so much for that advice and talking me out of selling. So in overcoming that piece of it, there's been multiple obstacles. You'll face them every single day. There's a new challenge or opportunity to grow, and again, it's if you let it slow you down, it can be a weight that drags you down, or it can be something that propels you forward, makes you stronger, and you can grow out of it.
I love that, Mike, and there's so many good notes to that. Don't get me wrong. There's negative nature and injury and loss and all these things, but you're looking at it from the standpoint of trying to be as positive as possible, taking the joy out of those situations. That's a mindset. It's not easy, but if you really try and focus on that, boy, there's so much you can get out of that with life. I know that when change comes, there's opportunity as well. So you looked at those angles and said, hey, oh my gosh, the sky's falling, there's change. You didn't look at it that way. You said, hey, you know what, let's look at the opportunity, how we can make a difference and impact in the community, but also for our business. So I think there's so much to that, Mike. It's really, really great. So thanks for sharing. It's not the easiest thing to go through, is like airing out your laundry for everybody. But let's go into a slightly softer question.
All right,
for everybody out there, because we're getting deep with Mike here.
Yeah,
but,
thanks.
Let's go into one of my favorite questions is travel back in time. So if you could travel back in time and give your younger self, and now this could be back to little kid Mike all the way up to a year ago.
Okay.
If you could travel back in time and give yourself a piece of advice or two, what would you say to younger Mike?
Younger Mike. Wow. Well, I guess it depends on which stage of life, whether you're talking about adolescence or other points. But no.
Sure. Yeah.
The things that I would say to myself if I went back in time were to enjoy each season. Enjoy the moment that you're in, and we just talked a little bit about that in regards to considering it pure joy. There's times when you're anxious, you're looking for the next thing, you're trying to achieve the next goal or marker. Again, being a competitor, you was always trying to get to the next piece.
Right.
In doing so, you can go too fast, and you're not enjoying the scenery. So, getting to stop and smelling the roses while you're still working hard. It's not slowing down. It's not taking the foot off the pedal in regards to that. But relationships, we talked about it. Again, I've got 4 kids, and some of the best moments in life are sitting there playing with them. I know you're getting ready to expect your first one here, and so it's exciting to have that time to just enjoy those seconds. You don't get them back.
Okay.
You don't get them back. So yeah, I just say enjoy the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's big advice for a lot of people to take, not just young Mike, but really everybody who's watching this, myself included, is that I think that everybody, especially on your level, Mike, and again, another reason why I consider you a Titan is your mindset and drive and determination. You wouldn't have hit the goals that you hit without setting those expectations and pushing yourself to new levels. But we all want to be here. And taking the time to just reflect and say, hey, you know what, 6 months ago, a year ago, I was over here and I'm all the way here now. I've accomplished so much in that time frame. Just appreciate the journey is huge.
Exactly.
That is big stuff, Mike. So thanks for sharing that. That was really, really good stuff. Hopefully I already wrote that down. So let's go into the next portion, which is feeding of the mind. So I think this is really good because a lot of the viewers that watch this show, they want to know kind of what these Titans are feeding their minds, what they're learning, how they're growing. So if you could look back, maybe books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, influencers on social media, coaches, things like that. What are you really diving into or digging into, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Well, I learned a long time ago, leaders are readers. And so understanding that, I would try to get through, at least one book a month. So we've got a lot of stuff and there's normally a stack of them on my nightstand, one in my car, a variety of different places. So when you get a second to grab, I still haven't upgraded them to the tech side, and I'm doing the ebook yet. I should.
Well, no. So
I should.
Physical books.
I still take the physical books, and I'm taking notes in them, and I got my own chicken scratch that I understand in those physical books.
Mike code.
Yeah, it's my code. I know what it means, whether it's a squiggly line or a star or whatever.
Sure.
I know what the code is. But that's been helpful. Some of the ones I'm reading right now, I'm reading Getting Everything You Can Out of Everything You've Got by Jay Abrams.
Wow.
Jay's a great teacher, takes fascinating concepts, real practical things. You can do it from simple add-on services. What are things that you can do to add to your customer's experience? So, for instance, if you walk into a shoe store and somebody says, I need some new shoes, you don't just sell them the right shoe, you offer them the left shoe too. The idea is, what can I add to help your experience in here? And doing those little incremental things can make a world of difference.
Sure.
And those are the things that compound over time. It reminds me of another book, the one I read just before that by Darren Hardy, which was Compound Success.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
We'll look it up, everybody.
Sorry, compound effect. Sorry.
Okay.
Compound effect.
You're good.
Sorry, compound success. Compound effect. But it's the same concept, doing those little things, and how do we do them and continue to. Darren's a great teacher. Both those guys, good motivational teachers. Darren Hardy's Success Magazine. I highly recommend it. They highlight profiles of people in all different industries. The more we can learn from anybody and everything, and obviously that's one of the goals of your podcast here, is to do that. We got some other teachers that, on a spiritual level that speak to me really well. We've got a great church that we're plugged into, New Life Church. Brady Boyd does a fabulous job. We try to catch those sermons even if we're not in town. He's got those online up at, I think it's newlifechurch.org. And then The Blessed Life is another one. Robert Morris is down in Texas. He's a fabulous teacher. Another guy who's got a local Bible college here. It's been one of my favorite, one of the most influential teachers in my life, and his name is Andrew Womack. He runs Charis Bible College.
Okay.
here in town. So another great teacher. But those sermons, we try to get a lot of stuff in there. You know, between the commute time when you're not on the phone or you're not engaged with people directly in a car, feed your mind, getting as much in it as possible is really key. So trying to absorb anything and everything you can, I'd highly recommend doing.
Love it.
Yeah, so we like to learn.
It's
I like
important,
to learn.
and there's a lot of information there too. And as everybody, as usual, I'm going to be listing those out in the comments below so that you can feed your mind and your soul the same way that Mike does, or at least Cindy curses that way. So I'm really excited about putting that information in there. So thanks for sharing that. So Mike, this has been amazing. This is tons of great information in there for a lot of people to take away. But this is the final question that we kind of go through. It sums up you and your brand, everything that you represent out in the community. If you could look at you very specifically and sum up who you are as a man with a mantra or a quote that you live by, what does that look like for Mike Kenney?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. That's a good question. One of those things that has influenced me again is a quote by Vince Lombardi, actually. The football player in me here talking to you a little about this, but it's the quote goes something like this. We would recite this as a team before each game, and it was this is the beginning of a new day. God has given me this day to use as I will. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever, leaving in its place something I've traded for it. I want it to be gain, not loss, good, not evil, success, not failure, in order that I should not regret the price I paid for it. So
that's super strong, Mike. I mean, that speaks volumes to, again, your brand and what you do as a man, an individual, a father, a husband, a leader, and a mentor. So that's really, really good stuff. So, I mean, I just want to thank you again for being on the show, Mike, taking the time. I know you're super busy. You are officially a real estate titan in my book, my friend. So
thanks, Greg. Really appreciate it.
This has been great. So thanks again, everybody, for taking the time and attention. Really love and support to the show. I really, really appreciate that. Again, every Tuesday and Friday afternoons, different titan, different location. Really appreciate everybody on there, and we will catch you on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.